I'm back at Triumph today and I'm reviewing an awesome bike that really appeals to me. I did an episode 2 years ago and I called it Triumph's Best Kept Secret. The bike I'm actually talking about is the Speed Twin 1200. Here we have it, the 23-24 outgoing Speed Twin 1200 by Triumph. I called it Triumph's Best Kept Secret for one reason. It's like a sleeper. It's an old school classic motorcycle and now it's totally redone, or let's call it not a facelift, I would call this more of a nip and tuck, because it still has the silhouette, the looks of this bike. However, with the graphics and a few little changes, it has a more modern spin. If you call it a modern retro classic, this was more on the retro and now it's more on the modern. It's got a slightly more aggressive stance to it. We'll go through the changes just now, but for the first time you have two options, two variants on the Speed Twin 1200. Here's the other one, the RS. You have the Speed Twin 1200 RS. Now that immediately you can see on the forks, brakes, it's a slightly higher spec version, the RS. So two options, standard and RS. And most of you know that last year the Thruxton was discontinued. But not to panic, I always said the Speed Twin was a Thruxton in different clothing. Here you actually have, if you can see, a Speed Twin 1200 and it has that cafe racer look. The options, all you got to do, change the seat, put the cover on the back, and you change the handlebars. From the handlebars on top, you get the blanks on top, and you put the clamps on with the handlebar risers here. Gives you a little bit of that clip-on feel. And here you can see the traditional one with the handlebar risers, handlebar right through the top, and here you can see blanks clipped on. And the different look of this one versus this one. So changes, here we got it again, that old school looking Speed Twin, the standard, the all new 2025. Then here in orange you have the 2025 RS, more spirited riding version, and then you can do this conversion to replace the Thruxton. If you really want a Thruxton, not available anymore, you can do this with either the standard version here done on the standard, or you could do it on the RS and have yourself an RS Speed Twin Thruxton if you like. Quickly having a look, the main differences and upgrades from the 2024 outgoing Speed Twin 1200, this matte black one in front of me here, versus the all new 2025 Speed Twin 1200. Now, starting off with rider aids. On the electronic side, you have rider aid changes. This new 2025 has lean angle sensitive traction control as well as ABS. Then you look at the fuel tank, slight different shape. That has a shallower lean versus that sharper drop. You also have these shapes to take in the front forks. Here it's round. Not major differences. Then going this side, you will see the flatter, different looking fuel filler cap for the flip fuel cap. Here you see it, the old school, slightly higher. Then we go look at the old clock style. You have the do clocks, analog looking, and now the fresher TFT single dial. That is, I would say, the most radical change of the two. Then you have the side panel, slight changes when you talk bodywork. That's the old one, the new one, but very similar with those two. Mesh grills in it. and the headlight slightly different, more modern look and feel about it. So motor wise, 5 horsepower up. Those are your main differences from your Speed Twin 1200 2024 versus the 2025. Also in 24 you only had one option with color options. Now you have the 2 options of the Speed Twin 1200s, your standard and your RS. 5 extra horsepower on the motor side. Other than that, really it is still an awesome machine. I would say it's not a complete facelift, it's more of a nip and tuck, if you want to call it. You have your modern classic, but not as hardcore classic, a little bit more spin on the modern. Now let's go look at this beauty in more detail. Having had a look at the differences from the 24 to the 25 model, looking at this 25 motor, 5 horsepower up as mentioned, single overhead cam, liquid cooled, parallel twin, 8 valves, Euro 5. Liquid cooled, have a look at this radiator in the vertical position. When you look from the side, it completely disappears and you see those air-cooled fins. It looks like an old school motor with the carbs and the airbox at the back. So they got that look really cool. You got your brush look exhaust, the 2 header pipes, 2 into 2 with the 2 megaphones at the back. Now power output is 103.5 horsepower, which is 77.2 kilowatt at 7,750 RPM. But the nice thing, and those of you who follow me on my channel know that I love twins, this twin puts out 112 Newton meter at 4,250 RPM, which low RPM, high torque, makes for a fun riding experience. Rideable, tractable motor, a lot of fun. All of this goes through a wet multi-plate clutch with slip assist, 6-speed gearbox, final drive, chain at the back as you can see. Looking at the suspension, up front you have the Mazocchis. Now remember, for the RS model you have different suspension, upgraded suspension. So for the standard model here we have the 43mm upside down Mazocchis, non-adjustable in front, 120mm travel. At the rear you've got the dual swing arm with the 2 shocks. Both Mazocchis, preload adjustable, 117mm travel. The preload adjustable is really nice should you be carrying a pillion at the back, takes away that squat position. Stoppers in front, double disc, 320mm, 4-piston radial mounted calipers with the Triumph logo, so I'm assuming this would be Nissan stoppers. Going to the back you have a single disc, 220mm, and a Nissan 2-piston floating caliper. Wheels, new design on the outgoing model. You've got those cast alloy wheels, a really cool design with those split spokes, 17-inch front and rear, shod with a 120 and a 160. As mentioned, cast alloy wheels. Seat height on this bike, 805 I think on the standard, and slightly higher, 810 on the RS. 216 kilograms, 14.5 liters on the tank. So all round stunning, I must say. I love it. And if you look at it to the outgoing model, definitely slightly more aggressive looking, slightly more modern with the graphics. This bike is standard, brand new out the box. I think it has 3 additions, which is these knee pads, tank protector would be the 1 addition, crash bars up front, and the scrolling indicators. If you look, they're actually quite cool. There you go, very cool. And you can see the LED daytime running light. So stunning look. Those are the 3 extras. Obviously, as per Triumph, you can always customize and personalize your bike, which is stunning. When it comes to the 2025 color options on the standard, you have silver, white, and the red. This being the silver. I would put the opposition models, this would compete against your Ducati Monster, maybe BMW R90, but this really gives you that old school feel and look. When we look at the electronics, again, in my opinion, uber cool. Some people prefer the old school dual dials. You have the full TFT, you have the rider aids, the controls. Down here sits the rider. Here you have the road mode, and you can go to rain mode, as you can see there, rain, road, those are your two options, and you engage that, off you go. And very simple, easy to read, gear indicator, everything is there. I must say I like it. It makes it more modern, it makes it cool looking. For the first time you have the lean sensitive traction control and ABS as well. Non-adjustable, but you can set it for road, wet or deactivate. And if you look in front, you see your ABS wheel over there and your ABS wheel at the back. So ABS standard front and back, ABS lean sensitive angle, lean sensitive for traction control as well. And you can, as I say, set them up for road, wet or deactivate. Other than that, the standard model does not come with a quick shifter, and interesting to note, you actually cannot fit it aftermarket on this bike. When it comes to the RS model, which I'll ride a little bit later in the episode, that comes standard with a quick shifter, but also your geometry is different. Your foot pegs are slightly higher and back, and your handlebars in a very different position, and that goes down to the handlebar risers. I will do a comparison of those. But all in all, that is the 2025 Speed Twin 1200 standard option. I'm going to jump on and go for the ride now. Now when you get going, one of the things I realized, it's quite difficult to actually get hold of this side stand. It's tucked in here behind or underneath the foot peg. It's tucked away there, but with a little bit of practice, no problem, we got it. Ergonomically, have a look how flat-footed I'm standing. 805 is the height, knees are bent, super comfortable, bike is light, it is nimble. The display, open, I love the handlebar end mirrors. It just gives you a really clean cockpit. Excuse the camera in front, but this is what we've got. Nice little grumble. And as I mentioned, a brilliant torque curve. So easy going, nice riding. This is such cool riding. This is like you going to the cafe, news cafe somewhere, going to sit down, have a cup of coffee, be a poser and look cool. So on a cool factor, I give this bike 10 out of 10. I'm really enjoying it, always enjoyed this. And best kept secret, getting back to that, you've got a bike that is like a sleeper. You look like you're on an old school bike that might just even have oil leaks, ammo carbs, kickstart, nonsense like that, like we had in the old days. You got to tinker with it. Yet it's got a modern 1200 cc motor, awesome torque, it's got power on tap, it has got stonk, and that's why it's a bit of a sleeper. When you look at it, the contours, the silhouette does not do the performance any justice. Again, sitting here comfortable, I sit upright, my hands are lower, then my elbows go down, my thighs go down, the feet are in a really comfortable position. The bench style seat, it is plush, it's soft, it rides the bumps nicely, the bike feels nimble. When I look in front, I can't see a front mudguard, I can't see a front wheel, it feels short and stubby, nice and wide handlebars, good control, and like I say, lower down. So for beginners, I always say you need to have both feet flat on the ground, you need to have wide handlebars, gives you awesome control. I'm not a beginner, but again, it's fun, it makes it versatile. You get on a new bike and you're at home with it immediately. When it comes to lane splitting, the widest part of this bike is obviously the outside of these mirrors. You can turn them up or whatever. I'm a big fan of them because they really look past your elbows. There's no vibrations, it's properly mounted, it's clean, it's away, you don't have those stalks in front of you, it's on the outside, and the handlebars are not too wide that you say, oh, it's sticking out too far. You get wider handlebars that I'm familiar with, but this is overall a really good feel. I'm going to jump onto the highway to show you what I mean when this bike has some stonk. There's obviously no wind protection to speak of, so it's going to get a little bit noisy in the helmet, but that's what naked bikes are all about, wind in the hair. And what I mentioned, the classic bikes evoke that feeling of rebellious freedom and the cool factor, and that's what it's all about. I mean, doesn't matter your age, we all want to feel young at heart, we all want to remember our early days, early biking days, and this is what a bike like this brings out and evokes. It's a lot of fun. It's not necessarily a canyon carver or something like that, however the bike is so superb that you can actually do spirited riding, and I think that's where the RS comes into its own, but more about that just now. Here, the standard for us mere mortals, most of us, and again, I'm reviewing this as a pure enthusiast, I'm not a journo, I'm not getting paid for this. This is just out of a pure passion and fun. I love riding bikes and experimenting and feeling the different vibes and the different ideas by different designers, different models of bikes. So the twin motor, I get onto the highway, 105 kilometers an hour, no quick shifter on this bike, have to keep that in mind. Here we go, looking for a little bit of open road where I can open her up. Here we go, just rolling on in 6th gear. Have a look at this. Absolutely illegal speeds. I'm not going to share with you what we've done, but I can tell you this is past ticket, it's jail time. Those are sort of the speeds that I didn't change down, I didn't do anything, I just rolled on and off she goes. And even here at 118, speed limit's 120, I'm at 117, 118, 120 now. If I roll on, there's plenty stonk on this bike, and that's why I say these twin motors, the torque at low RPMs makes them an insane amount of fun to ride these bikes. The bike tracks beautifully, no creature comforts like cruise control or whatever. For that you need an adventure bike or something else. Like I say, safety first, everything you need. You have your ABS, you have your traction control, lean angle sensitive on both of them, you have your rider modes, your wet and your road on this bike. So you don't need a PhD, it's not over the top, but it's enough, and it's all based on safety. When you get into heated grips or cruise control, that has nothing to do with safety. So a bike like this has everything you need for everyday commuting, rideability, absolutely brilliant package. On a pricing point, I did the exercise here in South Africa. It is 5% up on the outgoing model, so a 5% increase from the 2024 model to this standard model, and I think it's definitely worth it with all the increase, and let's call it Hollywood nip and tuck to give it a bit more of an aggressive attitude look and make it a little bit more modern. If you look at the old one, it's a little bit more focused on the retro classic. Again, have a look at this. Freedom, rebellious because you can just roll it on and just lane split, the hooliganism, your riding style. For me it's MX style, the elbows come out, matches the rear view mirrors out like this, lean forward, knee out. It does bring out that attitude. Fun. When it comes to vibrations, I would say on the handlebars, on the grips, virtually none. It's smoothed out, it's really not much. I have some in the foot pegs, a little bit of vibration, so as you can feel them pick up, you can actually from your feet say when it's time to change up. You can short shift on this bike proper because of the high torque at low RPM, so short shifting is a lot of fun. I'm going to go off the highway at the bottom here and do a little bit of traffic lane splitting, because besides being an ultimate poser bike, going to the cafe, news cafe, sitting, having a cup of coffee and bragging about your bony, awesome
I think this has huge practical value, a bike like this. The only time you'd lose out, bad weather, you have no wind protection or rain protection. Other than that, everything, you can commute with this bike, you can do long runs on this bike because it's super comfortable. My riding position is neutral. I will have zero fatigue in the lower back, strain on the wrists or forearms. The bike runs by itself. If you have a look at it, all you got to do is roll the throttle on and give it the input of the speeds you want to do. Smooth, this standard suspension, front as mentioned, non-adjustable, back only preload. It is brilliant for day to day. It rides smoothly, it takes the bumps nicely. Some of these surfaces are not too good, but it rides the bumps quite nicely. The stoppers, ample. I'm keen to see what the RS has. They have the Brembo's dilemmas, but nice big levers. You can actually do two-finger braking. There's a good feel on this, positive, so there's no fade on it. The clutch also very soft action. You're not going to get forearm pump. All round cool. These little cutouts on the tank, as you can see, it just functionality. It's just a brilliant bike. I don't know about the crash bars. Without the crash bars, it looks thinner and sleeker, but a practical option, not a cosmetic option. As mentioned, the rear view mirrors, you look right past your elbows. Even if you go in a MX style, you still see past it. Nice adjustable, no vibrations to speak of. These buttons, nice and big for the thumbs, no issues. And here we roll on. Proper torque. I must always remember to use the clutch, old school, fun. It matches this bike. We get lazy and we get accustomed to quick shifters, and it's interesting to note and to remember it cannot be fitted apparently afterwards as an option, so that is something to remember. The RS is roughly 17 to 18% up on this price here in South Africa, which I will let you know my opinion a little bit later after having ridden it. But best kept secret again, because it is a sleeper and it ticks all the boxes for me. The cool factor, the hooliganism, rebellious performance, definitely love this motor. 1200, plenty stonk. It's not all about top speeds on a bike like this. There is no wind protection, so it's not about top speed, but it's how you put down the power, how you get out of corners, and just that fun factor of riding again. All the safety features are there, fun factors there, looks are there. It's just overall a bike I'm a fan of, especially when you have a sleeper and you go riding with your mates and they think you're going to struggle to keep up. You will surprise them. You don't even need such good riding skills, because this bike makes you look good, and it's fun. Illegal speeds come up a little bit too quick, but the build quality also Triumph, insane. Again, a couple of years ago I always thought Triumph was an old man motorcycle, British bike, oil leaks, oil tray. When you buy a Triumph, it comes with an oil tray, but I was proven wrong. When I purchased my very first Bonneville T214, I still have it in my collection. That is an original, last of the last, air-cooled motor, and that changed my mind. The build quality, the overall look, feel, appeal, ride just changed my mind, and to the point where I, as an enthusiast, can tell you I now own 4 Triumphs in my private collection. Yes, I'm a little bit spoilt and blessed, unashamedly so, and from that point, yes, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but Triumph did it, not the salesman on the floor, the actual bikes did it. So after that, Bonneville came the Thruxton, and I must say the Thruxton is now discontinued, and I will show you in the shop. They have converted one of these to a Thruxton Cafe Racer look, with a hump on the back on the seat, clip-on handlebars, and it looks the part. So no matter that you can't get a Thruxton anymore, you can get that Cafe Racer look out of this. And I've said in the previous episode where I mentioned this is Triumph's best kept secret, this is a Thruxton in different clothing. So all round, take one of these out for a spin. If you're in the market for a retro classic, don't overlook the Triumph. The build quality will impress you. This motor, they just got something. They've got the high torque and the high power motor. This, I think, is the high power motor, but both of them are just sweet. All I can say, it's a motor that is just sweet. So from an enthusiast point of view, I can't fault a bike like that. It's personal appeal, whether you like the older school 2 clocks. On the Thruxton that I have the old school 2 clocks, but with this new attitude, stance, look and feel of this bike, this new TFT is brilliant. I think you get sold on it fairly quickly, and all round I will give you my conclusion after riding the other one. But for most of us out there, this bike will definitely fulfill your riding abilities and capabilities. Öhlins is nice to have, Brembo's is a nice to have. It's like jewelry for us bikers. I'm not going to say no, so I definitely have to jump on the RS and see what the differences are. And this is, I would say, reading the specs, studying the specs on the two different bikes, it is definitely the one that's more for comfort and relaxed riding. The RS is the more spirited riding, but more about that now. Let's get back and jump on the RS. Having just finished the ride on the standard Speed Twin 1200, the silver one, here is the orange RS. Now, couple of changes. We will go through the specs just now. I just want to get onto this bike back to back. You can immediately see the gold front and rear forks, so cosmetic difference. I like the graphics as well. Very sporty look and feel. And cockpit wise, identical. Initially just pulling off, it does feel like the handlebars, the width is the same, however they feel a little bit further down from my elbow to my wrist, slightly steeper angle. The feet do feel slightly higher, slightly sportier. I mean, it's not radical, but it just on a subliminal level makes me put weight on my wrists leaning forward. I don't think it's necessary. I can sit upright. Wow, okay, that also felt a little bit firmer the first bump. So there's definitely immediate changes. The very first bump I could feel already firmer ride. There's the quick shifter. Oh, lovely. Okay, it is the same bike but different. I mentioned earlier in the video, I think, that I did the exercise here in South Africa. The price difference, it's about 17 to 18% more expensive than the standard version. And I will go through the specs just now. From the initial specs, I thought it wasn't radical, because you're talking wheels, frame, motor, identical. Same horsepower, same motor, same frame, same wheels, however different tires on it. You don't go buy a bike based on consumables like tires, so that's out of the question. So wheels, frame, motor, same. Then you'd think, why 18% more expensive? And it's the finer nuances. The very first thing you push down, I have set it in sport. So sport is another rider mode that you don't have in the standard. You just have road and the rain, the wet. Here you get the third option. Then on this bike you get fully adjustable suspension, front and rear. Your ride height slightly higher, and it does feel firmer, the ride. I'm sure you could dial it out, change it up. And your entire seating position, I can sit upright. There's no weight or fatigue on my lower back. I'm not leaning forward. If you look, my arms going forward and back, I can reach. However, from my elbow down to my hand is a steeper rake down, so it naturally makes you want to lean forward, put more weight over the front wheel. Your heels are higher up. You're more likely to put the ball of your foot on the foot pegs and have the heels higher, which is more of in a very sporty riding position. Slightly more cramped, but you can see your thighs sloping down, both feet are flat, both knees are very bent. The ride height, I think, is only 5 mil difference, but immediately you sit in a more spirited riding. Your elbows go out, you lean a little bit forward, and you want to give it some stick. And then on top of it, you got that absolutely sweet quick shifter by Triumph. And that's one thing that I did say. It's quite sad to hear that you cannot retrofit it on the standard bike. That is I would call it an omission by Triumph, because this motor really lends itself to that quick shift, short shift, because the max torque is produced at such a low 4,250 RPM, which really the quick shifting makes it fun. Have a look here. Jump at 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. There we go. And already I'm in top gear. There's so much torque low down that you want a quick shift, short shift. You want to go up and down in this box, and it just, the motor lends itself to it, and it makes the riding experience a lot more fun. The overall ergonomics, other than handlebars, feet, the seat bench feels the same. What we've done here to show you, we've inverted the mirrors, so the longer side is facing in to make the bike slightly narrower. Yes, I do see a little bit more of my elbows, but it does help in tighter spots when lane splitting. However, I prefer them the other way. This is just one of the things you can play with to make it narrower. I have only done a few kilometers since jumping on this bike, and I would say, for me, I love this. This is definitely even more of a sleeper, and there's something about this. Also, the blacked out levers. There's subtle nuances with this bike that cosmetically you don't really see at first glance. You don't fully understand why it is nearly 20% more expensive, but when you're on it and you ride it, cool. Neutral comes up quite easy. Gearbox is notchy. I'm not hunting for neutral. Love the orange paint. It's a very racy retro look. I love the blackout of the handles, the levers, the handlebars, handlebar and mirrors all blacked out. The TFT is blacked out. Looks absolutely superb. And this is a bike that you definitely gonna be a hooligan on. When I spoke earlier, what emotions does your bike evoke in you? This one would be definitely the rebellious, the feeling young. Maybe slightly notchy first to second at lower RPMs. I'd have to give it a bit more, but after second, very smooth even at lower RPMs. I've gone the same route as earlier, and definitely firmer ride. I can feel it as standard out the box. The suspension, firmer ride. However, with the handlebars, it's noticeable slightly lower. It's a racier feel, this bike. So on a subconscious subliminal level, you want to think, is the gearing different? Is it producing power slightly different? But it's actually how you rolling on, rolling off, how aggressive you're riding. I would say this bike will make you ride quite a bit more aggressive.
So I had to jump off, and I have to see it outside of all the other bikes, see it individual, see it for what it is. And those stripes over there pick up those fins of that air-cooled look-alike motor. the orange and that creamy off-white, eggshell white, very retro, old school looking, then blended with that newer Triumph logo, that orange, and then you have the gold in the forks up front and the back, that little bit of gold in the shocks at the back. It really pops. It really pops. And if I compare this bike to the Standard, the main differences, just jumping on it, was definitely the riding position. Those foot pegs are slightly, they feel higher and further back, which gives you the option of the quick shifter, which is standard fitted on this bike. And again, the handlebars, if you see, they are lower down than the ones on the Standard, and they center, so they're further forward. The other ones are slightly higher and back, the handlebar risers, so that gives you that higher and further back towards you feel. Then the front forks, you have the 43mm upside down Marzocchi's, full adjustable. At the rear you've got two forks, two shocks, which are fully adjustable. Again at the back, Olin's, that's jewelry for us bikers. So the whole bike, the experience, I mean, one of the little things is 5mm difference on the seat. It doesn't make much of a difference. However, the overall look and feel of the bike is very different if you go back to back. I suppose if I rode the one today and the other one tomorrow, I wouldn't have felt it so drastic, if you want to call it. And the whole riding experience, you sit slightly in a different position. Everything feels a little bit firmer. You lean more forward automatically, subconsciously. Your feet, your heels feel a little bit higher, more cramped, more sportier. And then your brakes, a very different feel. Here you have the Brembo dilemmas, the top kit here, proper kit on a bike like this. Then you have the aluminium rear mudguard, which was standard on the outgoing version, but plastic on the Standard 25 version. The electronics, you have the sport rider mode. Again, your tires, you have a slightly stickier rubber, and different graphics. I must say the graphics, very clever how that picks up that. Overall, same horsepower, same motor, same frame, same wheel design, same everything. Even the whole thing just feels different. It's very difficult to put it in words, but I must say I love it. So initially looking at the specs, saying, is it worth extra money? If you like the spirited riding, if you've been riding for quite some time, I would definitely say this is worth it. Looking at the differences in specs, here you have the gold forks up front. The Standard had the black forks. The Standard has the non-adjustable Marzocchi's in black, 120mm travel. The RS has the upside down 43mm fully adjustable Marzocchi's, 120mm travel. So the travel is identical. The two rear shocks on the Standard are Marzocchi's preload adjustable, 117mm travel. On this RS you have the two Olin's fully adjustable with 123mm travel. Funny, slightly more travel, however firmer, stiffer feel. Your brakes on the other ones were black with the Triumph logo. On here you can see the Brembo dilemmas, which is on sport bikes and super bikes. The back brake is the identical Nissan 2-piston floating on a 220, so nothing. The wheels 17-inch, same. The seat height from 805, I think this is 810mm. The weight, the fuel capacity, all the same. Different graphics. Color options, here you only have the orange and the black, whereas on the Standard you had the silver, white and red. I showed you the red in the Cafe Racer Thruxton conversion. There was the white inside the shop, and the silver one is what we rode. Here you have the orange, and then you have the black, and obviously the graphics are different on this. And then you get on electronics package, you get the extra rider mode, the sport, and you get the quick shifter. So having a look at this side, it gives you that quick shifter over here. The different peg position gives you that option, and here going into the display, full color TFT, all identical. Over here you push and you have the sport mode, the third mode, which you don't have on the other one. Standard indicators on this one. The other one had the scrolling ones, and the headlight all LED. Stunning kit, I must say. Wow. Is it worth the extra money? My opinion, yes. Looks beaut. The color is retro. I'm going to stop waffling here and I'm going to jump on and ride it a little bit more.
Back in sport mode. If you listen to the sound check, obviously the motor's warm. Stunning sound. What is not to like on a standard bike like this? This bike is stock standard. Stock standard. It really is stunning. I'm back on the bike for one reason, because I have to sadly bring it back and I don't want to stop riding the thing. I think the best advice I can give on this entire episode, if you're in the market for the Speed Twin, the Triumph Speed Twin 2025 model, and the RS doesn't allow for in your budget, then please don't ride it. Don't test ride it, because you will be upset. So if your budget doesn't allow for it, please stay off it. You will absolutely love the Speed 1200, the standard version. It is definitely an upgrade on the outgoing one. The single TFT clock is the most modern feature of the lot cosmetically. Yes, it has that nip and tuck. It's not a facelift, it's still identifiable, but the graphics and colors just give it that slightly more modern spin with that clock. And if you like the older clocks, it'll definitely grow on you, so you will love the standard version. It's more than enough. It is a practical bike. It's proper. It's amazing. However, this RS just next level, and I'm so glad I rode it back to back. You can feel in my voice when I go over bumps, there's a lot more my voice jumping up and down, and that's because it's a stiffer ride. So the other one is more than enough motorcycle. It has the same horsepower, same output, same everything. It's the softer ride, the gentler, the easier, more comfortable, relaxed seating position. And here you can see over the undulations, you can hear in my voice, definitely stiffer sprung, sportier feel. However, even if I sit like this using the back brakes, if you see where my body position is, my upper body, there is no leaning forward. It's a very neutral riding position. However, with the foot peg slightly further back, you naturally move your feet up, like in a superbike, sport bike position, with the balls of your feet on the foot pegs, which lifts your heels up. And then with the handlebar slightly lower, it automatically makes you lean forward, put your elbows out in a little bit of a sportier position. And that, if you love the spirited riding, this is a bike that you could actually canyon carve with. You could actually do some hooliganism and have a photographer take a photo of you throwing it around a bend with a knee slider on the ground. Have a look at this quick shifter. Unbelievable. I'm not going to show you the speeds. I am already now in jail territory and I haven't even joined the hideaway. I showed earlier that this is a great canvas to substitute should you be really wanting a Thruxton and now not available anymore. If you want that cafe racer look and feel with minimal changes, seat cowl and the blanks and handlebars, it is done. Absolutely stunning in my opinion. If you enjoy the commuting, the sedate riding, the longer rides, wanting to be relaxed and chilled, the standard one is your bike. On all levels, if your budget allows for the standard one, this is a proper bike. I mean, it still is the best kept secret because the motor's there, the performance is there, everything you want is there in the standard version. However, if you're the type of person when the visor goes down, the red mist comes, and you like that spirited riding, and every now and then you want to thrash it around some fast sweeps, you want to hang off the bike, the RS is your option. With my 6-foot frame, super comfortable on both. Definitely longer rides, I would be slightly more cramped, especially in the legs on this one, but very comfortable. I can feel in my back, my natural position is slightly hunched and forward, can feel it after 30 minutes on the bike. So as subtle as the changes are, on some level they are quite massive. It's difficult to say which one I recommend, because you cannot recommend. We all like different things and all of our riding styles are different. I would say for my riding style, still want to be young and hard, loving the spirited riding. I'm not all about top speed. I love a twin. I love the torquiness, the rideability of it. And this is where, for me, the RS. However, if I was to buy something to commute to work and back every day and focus more on the practical, and money was not the topic was a commuter, I would go for the standard version. That is my conclusion and summing up of these two Speed Twin 1200s of Triumph, the new model. So guys, on that point, I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed this ride review with me of the 2025 Speed Twin 1200s, the two options you have, standard and RS. I really enjoy these bikes and have enjoyed this ride and review. Hope you enjoyed the episode with me. If you did, as always, please hit that like button, give me a thumbs up, and most important of all, please hit that subscribe button. Help me build the channel. It's absolutely free, and if you like, the reminder bell so you always know when I'm uploading something new.